Welcome back, everybody, to the show this evening. It's a fun place to start, all right? It seems Congresswoman Marjorie Taylor Greene, one of the most extreme members of Congress and really of our political discourse altogether, saw me trash-talking her and brought it up in an interview on the Young Turks. What? Yeah. So essentially what happens is she did this interview with Cenk Uygur. I'll talk about the interview in this segment as well. Some strange moments. It was very hunky-dory friendly, which was bizarre. I'll give you the context of that, though. But she talks about how she saw this morning, and that was yesterday evening, so yesterday morning, she saw the damage report saying negative things about her. And who was on the damage report saying those negative things? Me. I was. So let's play this, and then I'll show you what I was up to that she apparently saw.
Wide open door. That's my interpretation of that answer. Okay, and finally, you once did, speaking of people, us fighting back and forth, which we've done a lot. You once
I don't think I've ever fought with you. Have I ever fought back and forth with you? I don't think so.
No, overall with the network, right? Because you did do a mean tweet about Damage Report. That's John Iadarolla's show. Okay.
I think they were trashing me earlier today. So.
I'm not. So you're still watching?
Oh yeah, I watch you guys. I watch all kinds of news. I'm not a Fox News viewer. I hardly watch Fox.
No, Fox News is not extreme enough for you. So again, that was yesterday evening. She said this morning you were trashing me, and John Iadarolla had a little guy named Luke. They call him me, who was talking about Marjorie Greene. Let's see what she saw that she did not like.
Get hit and all that. So who knows how that would have played out. But then you take a look at Jon Ossoff versus Marjorie Greene. He's up by 17 points, which means, and please, Marjorie, I hope that you're tuning in right now. The gap from Brian Kemp to Marjorie Greene is 20 points. And I honestly don't know if I've ever seen the individual qualities of a candidate make that much difference in an election. I mean, Georgia's like a purplish state, but it seems maybe a little bit more reddish lately. And even so, they clearly do not like Marjorie Greene there. And it's not just that she was doing worse than Brian Kemp would. She's trailing John King, who gets an extra point over her. Brad Raffensperger, the traitor who cost Trump the Georgia election in 2020 or whatever, he's beating her by a couple of points.
And this is, again, for background about her apparently wanting to run for Senate and how compared to other less extreme Republicans, it looks like she'd fare far worse against the Democratic incumbent, Jon Ossoff, which is good news. I obviously want her to lose. If you're watching this, Marjorie, I want you to lose.
Points. And so far, it doesn't seem like any Republican is doing worse in that race than Marjorie Greene would. So if anything, I think Jon Ossoff is probably feeling pretty good these days. But what do you think, Luke?
I love how she's like, thank you for all the support in Georgia, as right now we're learning. Not like it's so great for her. I am just, can we get to the end of this? I'm just so, this thing where every one of the worst possibilities just happens. Can we just, it's sort of like a shot's not that bad, but just waiting for it to get poked in I just want to get to the end of this. What's the worst MAGA candidate that's going to run? Because so long ago, it would have been impossible to comprehend that Marjorie Greene, yes, the space lasers, but so many other things. The reason she even rose to fame in MAGA was because she was a Facebook person posting about QAnon conspiracies and who knows what else? And now, if she got that nomination, which I think, even though she's trailing compared to Jon Ossoff, the MAGA base and maybe could push her over the edge if there's like a three-way race or something. I know for certain Trump would get behind her. The Georgia Republican Party would get behind her. And just the Republican Party now, it's nothing. It's just whatever the craziest MAGA candidate wants it to be. Now, to your point, I said a while ago, I saw John Ossoff, posting a video being like, Marjorie Taylor Greene is saying that she's going to get in the race. And if she gets in the race, Marjorie Greene, get in the race. Marjorie Greene, get in the race. Marjorie, like really trying to goad her into it. Because for him, even though the crazy off chance where she were to win would be terrible, for him electorally, that's kind of his dream because she would be a political toxic nightmare. But please don't let anything go astray there.
Yeah. And look, we always have to bear in mind.
Listen, it's not stopping. Since I guess she saw our coverage, I should say, since it offended you, I don't care. You are a representation of what is so wrong with American politics. You have no regard for the truth. You actively undermine fundamental tenets of our democratic institutions. You don't seem to know much about policy. You don't seem to care much about vast swaths of our country. And if it hurt your feelings, don't be so sensitive. Don't be a snowflake, That's what you taught me, Marjorie. If you taught me anything, we don't need our safe spaces anymore, Marge. Now, very interesting. I referenced this interview where she made that comment about watching that show, but the interview itself with Cenk Uygur was very strange. I guess she was brought on to talk about how Cenk and her agree that we shouldn't go to war with Iran. All right, good. But given who she is, I felt it such sort of not meeting the moment for Cenk. Why, if you bring her on, all right, maybe you ask about that and y'all high five that you both don't want Trump to go to war with Iran. All right. But now you have her on the air. And given the dangerous lies that she's perpetuated, given the attacks on people that she levies every single day, how do you not ask about any of those issues? Like, for example, you could have played this clip for her, which he didn't, and say, do you have any regret for pushing detrimental lies about our democracy for years now, never retracting them, and even opposing, in your words, the peaceful transfer of power?
We can't allow this just to be gone, just to let it go. You can't allow it to just transfer power peacefully like Joe Biden wants and allow him to become our president, because he did not win this election. It's being stolen and the evidence is there.
That was before January 6th, her literally telling her followers, we can't allow for the peaceful transfer of power like Joe Biden wants.
Why are you the way that you are?
Truly. Thank you, Michael. And that wasn't asked about. And then, for example, I don't even care about this thing by itself, because it's just the only reason people bring up the Jewish space lasers thing is because it's one anecdote that quickly gives you a sense of the deep and profound conspiracy theory broken brain that she has. And so she does this thing when people bring up that she posted conspiracies like there's lasers that may have started the wildfires in California back before she got into Congress, and that these named Jewish individuals were coordinating it or something. Now, did she say the phrase Jewish space lasers? No, but that was succinctly explaining this long paragraph of a conspiracy theory you had, which is why it took off so much. So now she does this thing, instead of going, yeah, I said some crazy conspiracies, I never said that phrase, but she acts like it never happened, because similar to how they go, oh, separation of church and state, that phrase is not in the Constitution, but that's the succinct way to summarize what is in the Constitution, which means that. Or Trump never said put bleach in your body or talked about bleach injections, so that never happened and it's a hoax. They do the same thing with that. When it's, no, we say bleach to summarize him pontificating about injecting disinfectant. What's a type of disinfectant? Bleach. Okay, so I try to be very particular in the language about what people actually said, because otherwise they try to get away with this. And then Cenk didn't push her on it much. He didn't fact check the fact. All right, well, let's read the actual post then. And this was the exchange over that.
False headline. So you're right. We have said some bad things about you. There's no question about that. And so, And it started with that issue of the space lasers, right? So you brought it back up.
Yeah, but I never said
Okay,
said
that's why
Jewish
I'm gonna
space
ask you.
lasers. So that's a lie. Yeah, it's a lie, and I really am tired of people perpetuating
So what
the
do you
lie.
mean you didn't say it? Just I'm trying to clear it up.
I never said that. I've never said.
No, you said lasers started wildfires from space, and you named powerful Jewish people.
I never said that. I've never said that statement in my life, but there was someone that wrote an article, and that was the headline, and that's what they created. It was in early January of 2021 when I first came into Congress. And so it was an entire hit piece against me. And it was a statement I had never said in my life and never even heard of it until I saw it trending on Twitter attached to my name.
So that was not your Facebook account?
Of course, it was my Facebook account, but I never said Jewish space lasers, and I never blamed any.
It's the same thing with Trump never said that about bleach. All right, let's play the clip. And it's him going, maybe COVID could be solved with disinfectant inside the body through injection. So it's dishonest, but watch, Jane just moves on.
I never blamed Jewish people or Israel for anything in my Facebook post, and you could read my Facebook post, and it's clear and obvious.
Okay, are you worried about Elon's space lasers these days?
Move on.
Legalized comedy.
Move on. It just, and the whole interview was so friendly. And it's not that you can't bring on someone terrible to say, hey, we both agree. Look, we are so far apart, but we agree on ma. But then you do have a responsibility to ask, hey, I don't think you and I agree that we should accept legitimate election results. I agree in basic pillars that keep this whole thing functioning so that we can agree and disagree. You don't seem to. Marjorie, I don't hear you denouncing Trump's crazy attacks against the First Amendment and other amendments. Now, little pieces were asked about by Jane, but it wasn't push, and it wasn't forcing her to actually answer for the guy that she supports, what he's doing or her past. Now, because this Jewish space lasers thing was brought up, if you search Marjorie Greene career, Luke Beasley, then this video will pop up. We did a deep dive into the background of Marjorie Taylor Greene. I think well substantiated, brought the receipts. And so you can go watch that for yourself and see if it's true that she's just been smeared or if there's legitimate reasons to believe that something's going seriously wrong between the ears for Marjorie. And Marjorie, if you see this, you're welcome to come on this show as well. I'll just press you and ask you about those things. And we don't have to talk about the Jewish space laser thing at all. I care more about the functioning of our democratic system that you have levied a complete and total attack against. Here's the intro of this interview, just to be fair to Cenk, as to why he brought her on.
So normally we disagree.
Oh, by the way, if you appreciate the show, please do click the subscribe button. If you want to support the work that we do a step further, the join button is there as well. And that makes you a member.
A lot, and you've seen some of that. But tonight we're going to talk about something that's that we might have in common, and I want to get a little bit of information about what's happening on the inside in Washington, and see if we can maybe prevent a war. So the two sides coming together here on what I hope is a good mission. So let's start on Iran. I'm worried about a war with Iran. It appears you're worried about a war with Iran. Do you know where it stands today within the Trump administration? Because you and Tucker Carlson and others seem so concerned that it makes me more concerned.
Yeah, thank you for bringing that up. And I just want to thank you for having me on your show tonight. I think it's incredibly important that we find common ground as Americans. And that's never a bad thing, even when we do disagree on other issues. So thank you so much. I have been very concerned, and I'll tell you why. A little bit of my background. I'm one of those Americans that are really sick and tired of the narrative that we're constantly told that we're supposed to hate some country that's overseas that maybe we've never been to.
All right, so that gives you a sense of kind of what Cenk's defense of my criticism would be was, no, but we're talking about what we agree on. Which is fine to an extent, but you gotta challenge her on some of the things that are actively destroying our ability to have valuable political conversations. The complete detachment from the truth on any number of issues, pushing lies about, again, go watch that video I referenced that we put a lot of effort into, where we documented her past and her history of lies and conspiracy theories and dehumanizing attacks against people. At one point she goes, I think we need to just remember that we're all humans and, we can unite around that or whatever. Yeah, I agree, which is why your dehumanization is crazy. Now, if you want to walk some of those things back, apologize for them, then maybe there's something more valuable there. But she's not doing that. And she continues every day to push really harmful, destructive ideas. And so maybe you get to the issues where you think she'll agree with you, but you also have to challenge on some of the most consequential, detrimental characteristics of who she is and what she stands for, is my view as to how you responsibly handle an interview like that, as opposed to just patty cake, meh, meh, meh. We can be friends, yay, with Marjorie Greene. I don't know. But there it is. Marjorie, not liking my commentary. Share your thoughts in the comments. Get the bonus show, as I referenced before, simply by that join button below.